Hello. Welcome to Friday night. Now, you might be going, why is Elizabeth in black and white? Because we're taking it back. That's right. The genre that is a gold mine is public domain content. See, y'all thought I was going to say JAFF, Jane Austen fanfiction. And while that is an example of one, we're going to talk about a bigger, broader world out there that you can tap into an instant fandom. And best of all, AI writes it really easily. And it's something that everybody has been doing for generations. So here's your song, and I'll see you in a few minutes.
Pull the line and turn the page. Send it out from age to age. If it breathes, then let it run. Old and new can beat as one. This genre is a gold mine for writers. Haul it up and pass it round. What was loved is still worth loving. Hear that buried treasure sound. There's a hush in the stacks at midnight. There's a map in the margin there. There's a tune in the oldest pages, still alive in the paper air. We don't come for dust alone. We don't come to bow and freeze. We come in with living voices. We come in and wake the leaves. Pull the line and turn the page. Send it out from age to age. If it breathes, then let it run. Old and new can beat as one. This genre is a gold mine for writers. Haul it up and pass it round. What was loved is still worth loving. Hear that buried treasure sound. All the classics left us lanterns. All the authors left us bread. All the canon left a doorway we can open with what they said. Take the longing, take the tension, take the wit and take the ache. Take the post that kept them living, make it ours and claim a stake. Pull the line and turn the page. Send it out from age to age. If it breathes, then let it run. Old and new can meet as one. This genre is a gold mine for writers. Haul it up and pass it round. What was loved is still worth loving. Hear that buried treasure sound. Oh, the shelves know what survives and what will fade. Keep the ember, feed the ember, let it warm another age. Oh, the voices never vanish when they're true. Take the old road, sing it forward, make it open up for you. This genre is a gold mine for writers. Haul it up and pass it around. What was loved is still worth loving. Hear that buried treasure sound. Pass it on from the shelf into the song. Pass it on, make the old house hum along.
Do you feel like you're at the club?
Do some kind of club.
Some kind of club.
It's a boy mates club. I don't know. It's fun.
Yeah, I went through so many versions of that song. There was males singing sea shanties, and like it was longer. Then I was like, listen, we want to be at a club in Ibiza party into this song that's like a she shanty turned into a Euro dance song. Make it happen.
That
And
was amazing.
it did. So Firebird says, I need a glow stick in each hand. Yeah.
We do. That's right. I'm in the house, Danny. I'm in the house, Michelle. Everybody. I'm actually in the house. No, I'm not at her house, but I could be in 2 minutes. So that's all that
You
really
could be.
counts, depending on traffic.
It could be. April's in the Virginia Beach. And her son is at his new job. Woo, woo. So happy for Dart. Same time zone, like
the Schilling family's amazing. They give me a place to live. They give my son a job. I mean, hello. They just take you in, and you don't have a choice. You're
when we adopt people, we're serious about it. So, no, April did a lot of the work, a lot of the hard work, and so did her son. So we're so grateful, so thankful as a group and as a community that she is safe and well. And tonight, you guys, I am with my bestie, my very first business partner in all of this publishing stuff. And in 2014, I was working with her. We were book marketers, and I was like, I don't want to do book marketing anymore. I'm going to write some books of a genre that I read. And she's like, okay. And then when I put that book out there, it sold like 200 copies. So I'm like calling her up. I'm like, girl, you need to write this stuff. She did not follow me until a year later, but April Floyd and Elizabeth Ann West are two of the biggest names in Jane Austen fan fiction. We broke the mold on a lot of things for the genre.
I think you broke them really hard when you charged $9.99 for your books. It set off a firestorm. Oh boy, did it set off a firestorm. But she sold, and at a fast clip. Elizabeth Ann West could release and have her own BookBub results without the BookBub. Okay, that's how that works for her. She's amazing.
That is the topic. Oh, good. Yes. Wait. That is the topic. Yes. The gold mine. They are talking about derivative fiction. We're going to define it for you. I've got a presentation for you. We're going to play a game. You know you love a game. And then we're going to talk about some other things. So what is derivative fiction, I think, is the first thing that we want to define. I'm going to define it again in the presentation that I'm going to get through really fast. But the big thing is that everything is derivative. Like if you ever want to be fancy at a party and people are talking about literary classics and like the hot new thing, you can be like, everything is derivative. I mean, it truly is. Avatar, the biggest gross selling movie of all time. How many of us, when we watched that, we went, this is Ferngully. Now, big studios have the ability to license content and make a new version of that. Mm-hmm. So things that are not in the public domain, which is what we are going to focus on tonight, they're just because a big studio or something like that takes a big property. So for example, I'm trying to think of some, okay, let me think of it like this way. Pillow Talk by Rock Hudson and Doris Day, right? If somebody remade that movie today, actually they remade that movie and they called it You've Got Mail. We can't do that. However, the OG version of that kind of book of that kind of story is stuff from Shakespeare with the mistaken identities, either from elements that you're pulling from Twelfth Night or elements that you're pulling from, I would say even a little bit of Much Ado About Nothing, just a tiny bit, in that when one knows and the other one doesn't. But so that's the big thing. Ferngully or Pocahontas. Exactly. If we're ever talking about a work, you don't know what it is, you're like, listen, Elizabeth, I am not well read into the literary canon. How many of you feel like you're not well read into the literary canon? By that, I mean the 19th and 20th century literature that the great powers that be decided all high schoolers have to read and learn. So things like your Faulkner, your Hemingway, your Austen. Yay!
I knew you were going to yay Austen. I will never forget the Scarlet Letter as long as I live. Ever.
Oh, Hawthorne. I'm still mad about the Scarlet Letter. Still mad. Yes, see, Ugh Faulkner. Chapter 13, My Mother is a Dead Fish. So yeah, same. I am not that well versed in the literary canon. You may not be, but then if you watch a lot of modern movies and things like that, you totally are.
You are.
You really, really are. I am so like if you even look at Bridgerton, for example, Bridgerton is 100% derivative of Austen, like 1,000%. If you look at the UK pantomime, that is a big influence. Exactly. So whenever an influence is older than, say, 1925, it's in the public domain, which means it's free to be built upon. And when I first started writing Jane Austen fan fiction, I went to author conferences and stuff like that. Yes, Bridgerton literally, like, not only did they do a Cinderella style book, but I really felt it was derivative of Ever After, the movie, which is one of my favorite Cinderella retellings. So that's just my own personal opinion there. But what I was going to say is that when I went to first author groups and stuff like that, they were like, you write fan fiction? Fan fiction? Like, it's somehow wrong. But I can tell you right now, the best authors in this world cut their teeth on writing fan fiction. That's where you should start.
Absolutely. They think because you write fan fiction, you're not a writer or an author. While you don't know the other things that I've written, right? It's kind of crazy. Right. When you can take a story that people have loved for hundreds of years and you give it a new twist, you do a new thing with it. That requires you being able to be true to Austen and write in that Austen world, which isn't easy. It's not Regency romance as we see it now. That's a whole different animal than Jane Austen fan fiction. Right?
Yep.
It's a whole different way that you have to do it. So it's not easy being a fan fiction writer. We can color outside the lines, or we can color right inside the lines and have the imitation. Not the imitation.
Absolutely.
The influence.
The inspiration.
Yes.
So, yeah. April, talk, if you don't mind talking for just a minute or two. I've got to write some notes for us to play the game. But I'm really curious about what your experiences are with writing fan fiction or writing derivative content, whether it's about editing it or just about like what you have experienced writing derivative fiction.
Writing derivative fiction, and particularly Jane Austen, I absolutely love and adore Pride and Prejudice. I don't care too much for the other books, but there are people who do write also those books. So if you wanted to write inside the Austen world, you could also do her other books. People do that. My experience was falling in love with Elizabeth and Darcy. I don't know who doesn't love Elizabeth and Darcy. If you're a romantic at heart, you love Elizabeth and Darcy. And for me, I'd like to go way outside the lines. Okay. And I thought, I am going too far. Listen, I had Wickham seeing both Lady Catherine and Anne ends up pregnant and she loses the baby, but she carries it with her down the stairs while the Rosings is on fire. Okay, it's burning down. The book made a lot of money. Okay, seriously. Elizabeth and I have a Facebook group called the Jane Side, and we didn't understand. We didn't understand how crazy our readers like us to get. Okay, they really do. So you can play the way that you want to inside of that world, that fandom. There's clean Regency. There's now they have magic, lots of magic.
Yes, magical realism is super hot.
You can do erotica. Okay, they say they don't read it, but they really do.
They do.
Dramatic. You can. Lots of readers like no angst, like they want to read about teas and balls and gowns and that sort of thing, and that's all in Austen. And you can get as crazy as I did and everything in between, and you'll have an audience.
Pretty much.
You have to manage your expectations in a niche like that, right? You'll have your fandom, but you have to also know what they want and try to do that alongside going crazy. That's just me. I was called the soap opera writer of, JAFF. And it's true. I do. I love to bring the drama. I say I bring the drama to melodrama. That's me. And I made really good money doing it. So there's room for everyone's vision in there as long as you follow some of the constraints.
Yeah, the money spends the same. And Lord of the Rings is a great example of something that is not public domain. It won't be public domain until the 2040s. So it'll be a while before the Fellowship of the Ring and the Two Towers are expected to enter the public domain, because J.R.R. Tolkien did not die until 1973. And for a lot of countries, and also like UK, Canada, it's life plus 70 years. So unfortunately, Tolkien, you're going to be waiting a while if you're wanting to do fanfic of that. However, is Lord of the Rings original? Was there nothing like it before that? I would beg to differ. I would beg to argue. I'm never going to
admit that. I'm never going to admit to that. I'm
okay.
a huge PR fan, so I'm never, you're not going to get me to say that, because I think it is everything.
Right. So if you know a little bit about Tolkien, and you know about his buddy dude, the guy who wrote Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe, C.S. Lewis. So they were a group. They were a literary group they called themselves the Inklings, and they were really inspired actually by the allegories and things and stories that were in the Bible, believe it or not. They were questioning things about their faith and about what Christianity even meant, especially in a post-war world. They were heavily influenced by the Great War and the World War, that they basically had watched the world change, and in many ways the same ways that our generation has watched when I say our generation, I'm not just saying my generation. I mean everybody watching this right now. We can all remember an event that has happened in our lifetime that we can remember the before times and the after times as being very distinct, very different. Exactly. COVID is a great example. Life was different before COVID. Life is different after COVID.
Yeah, 9/11 was a big demarcation, especially for military families, right? An open base now is a closed base, and it's been closed ever since. Right.
So
yeah.
There are also some comments about things like people plagiarizing different fan fictions and stuff. Listen, I filled my quota of drama this week yelling at Thaddeus McElroy. So I am not going to get into any of the plagiarism things and all of that. And if you don't know what I'm talking about, just go look him up on LinkedIn and you'll see what all the controversy is. We're going to stick to the things that are public domain that are okay to use, instead of talking about things that have gone wrong and all of that. So I'm going to hop into the presentation. Your notes are linked in the, maybe I did not do that. I don't think I saved it. I am not batting 100 today. I don't know. I had my birthday this week. I'm just discombobulated. I don't know. I don't know what time it is. I don't know what day it is. Just things. Yeah, your notes are in there.
It's my birthday. It's the day before my birthday.
It is.
And it's 8.
I'm birthday drunk.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We're going to keep it rolling.
We're going to keep it rolling. All right. So we're going to go ahead and hop into it. I don't know if I present, let's see. I don't know how this is going to work. We're going to give it a try. So I'm going to share screen, and it's going to be this thing, but I don't think that that's going to work. So I'll share that, and then I'll take a look at what's going on here. I will see if I can't. I have a feeling if I go into present mode, April, tell me, did it go into present mode?
Yeah, see, selling Mr. Darcy.
Okay, good.
There.
Okay. So we are doing, this is actually a presentation I have given for multiple years now, but we're going to talk about some updates and things like that to it. So this is called Selling Mr. Darcy. But it is all about derivative fiction. This is a little bit about me. The link, by the way, to this presentation is in your notes, so you don't have to worry about it. And there is a coupon code, good until Monday, JAFF, and all the cool links to the class. We'll talk about the classes in a minute. So over 25 of my books are derivatives of Jane Austen and Pride and Prejudice. And we're going to talk about derivative fiction and a little bit about JAFF specifically. But what's really neat about these two books is that both of those were the first books I published with AI in them. So A Test of Fire is the very first book that I ever wrote with AI back in December of 2021. Isn't that crazy, April?
Where has the time gone? I don't know how we got here.
Blue. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then Happy Was the Day was the second book, and then For the Love of a Bennett is the third book. A Testifier and For Love of a Bennett have been republished on Future Fiction Press. You can get them on Amazon, but more importantly, you can read them free on our website at futurefictionpress.com. So it's free to read those. Okay, so let's go play the game. Okay. So isn't that cheating? That's the biggest thing. No. Everything is derivative. According to work by Christopher Booker, there are 7 universal plots. If you've ever heard of this talked about. And again, so you thought I was going to talk about genre, but it's even bigger than that. We're talking about plots. So the 7 universal plots we're going to talk about are Defeat the Monster, Rags to Riches, The Quest. There's that Lord of the Rings thing. Voyage and Return, Comedy, Tragedy, and Rebirth. Now, a lot of people are like, where's romance? Romance often falls under The Quest or in comedy. You also could have it in Rebirth, I guess, if you really wanted to. But for the most part, it's going to be The Quest or comedy. So there you go. Okay, now I've got to figure out. So a derivative work is work based on or derived from one or more already existing works. That's from copyright.gov. We're specifically looking at public domain. Every single year, new things come into public domain. So you always have new stuff coming in. I remember anxiously awaiting The Great Gatsby coming in and then kind of deciding once it came out, I was like, I don't really feel like writing about that. So let's play a game. Public domain differs by country, but the United States has one of the most strict laws, which is the author's death plus 70 years, anything since 1989. Books, movies, and sound recordings published prior to 1927 are in the public domain. Then it gets a little bit more complicated. Works between 1927 and 1989 can have different rules depending on if there was an original notice or if the copyright was renewed. So make sure you always research the specific work to determine status. My recommendation is stick with the ones that are dirt old, old as dirt, okay? Your Les Mis, your Shakespeare, your Austen, anything written in the 1800s. Go ahead, April.
No, I'm just looking at the game. I'm trying to get ahead and win.
Yes. I'm going to get ahead and win. So we're going to go back to those universal plots. So can you think of a public domain work for each? So we're going to take some time. We're going to start off with Defeat the Monster. Okay. So start off with Defeat the Monster. And the Defeat the Monster. Go ahead, April.
No, I'm just waiting. I'm giving them time in the chat to choose.
Yes.
Choose the public domain work for Defeat the Monster. It's on the, it's good.
Yes, it's a hero overcoming a powerful evil entity threatening the community, the world. It usually has the 5 stages, so that's also like the hero's journey. All right, so we got Beowulf up here. I like Firebird. If you die, you're in a tragedy. If you get hitched, you're in a comedy. Yes, those are very. That's why I'm saying it. They usually romance either falls under comedy or it can be the quest in the sense of like if the romance is from like the male not just the male point of view. I don't want to do that. If it's from the point of view of the pursuer. So there you go. All right. So Defeat the Monster.
Got my answer. Bad Evan finally got my
Frankenstein. Answer. Yes. Mm-hmm. Now here's the cool thing. When I've taught this before, and believe me, I love Mary Shelley. I really, really do. Love Mary Shelley to death. Everyone's like, she was so original. And I'm like, Lazarus. Like the concept of bringing people back from the dead is not new. That was not a new thing. Okay. Dracula is another great one. I'm going to say Jack and the Beanstalk is, that one has a little bit of interesting, all over the place because there is the Defeat the Monster, but remember, was that Jack's original goal? Did he even know that the monster really existed? He was just trying to I mean, it is Defeat the Monster. It also has some things that are like it close to the quest as well. All right. So
Defeat the Monster.
Defeat the Monster.
Yes.
I don't know. I think that one's more Rebirth, but we'll see.
All right.
So beat the evil thing. You got Dracula, Frankenstein, and mythology. These are just the examples that I gave. Okay. So the next one, Rags to Riches.
Oh, we know.
So there's actually quite a few of these rags to riches. Quite a few that are. To be honest with you, I'm not even familiar with the Maltese Falcon. Are you?
Not that much. Not enough to say whether it was rags to riches.
Oh, but it's 1941, so I don't know. That's a good question. That one wouldn't even be in the public domain because it's from 1941. It's not old enough yet, so that's a good one. Cinderella, right? Great Expectations, yes. Jane Eyre could also be considered that. Pride and Prejudice, I put it in a different category, but we'll go ahead and take a look. So we'll go to the next one. And Get Power Riches, I have Cinderella, I have Great Expectations, and another one that even Mickey Mouse redid, The Prince and the Pauper. Which, yes, My Fair Lady is another great one.
Absolutely.
That is a great one. Which My Fair Lady is derivative. My Fair Lady is based off of an older work called Pygmalion, which was based off of an older myth called Pygmalion.
See, we can keep going back and back and back.
We can keep going. This is the game. So the whole point of this is that you are supposed to feel like, holy crap, there is so much out there I didn't realize was derivative. Because once you can see it, then you can start to work with it. And we're going to talk more about that. The Count of Monte Cristo also could be rags to riches. There's also a really great revenge story in there. I would almost say that one's more like a quest in the sense that he is set back and then he has like a very specific goal. So I would put Count of Monte Cristo more in the quest, but I'm not, this is everybody, but the Count of Monte Cristo is 100% public domain. All right. The next one, The Quest. So this is an interesting one for a public domain. April, do you have any ideas for The Quest?
I don't know if The Hobbit is.
It's not public domain, unfortunately.
Not public domain. Mm-mm. It's not. Treasure Island.
Treasure Island is.
Is that public domain?
What about? Think about mythology. Think about Jason and the Golden Fleece.
Oh yeah. Those movies.
Pretty much every single myth has some dude getting in a boat and going away and coming back. The Quest being Three Musketeers. That's an interesting one. I would almost say that the Three Musketeers, let's see, does it end happy? If it ends happy, I think it's more of like a comedy. But yeah.
It has comedy.
So yeah, the Odyssey.
I could see it as a quest as well. Dante's Inferno.
So I call the quest Fetch the Thing. If they're fetching the thing, so Wizard of Oz, Odyssey, the Iliad, and Treasure Island, because you go and you come back. If you go and you come back, it's the quest. If you go and you stay, it's something else.
Yeah.
So that's usually the line there. Yeah, you guys are doing really great. A lot of H.G. Wells. I love it when people who are sci-fi authors are like, but there's nothing public domain for me. I'm like, baloney faloney. Yes, there is. Yes, there is. All the H.G. Wells is available. The Time Machine, time travel is totally derivative fiction. You may not believe that, but one of the earliest time travel books is one of the answers to one of these things, and that is A Connecticut Yankee in King Arthur's Court, which was written by Mark Twain. But even that is derivative fiction because he ripped off Mort de Arthur, like he ripped off the original King Arthur mythology for his story. And okay, so the next one.
Arthurian fiction is a thing. It's been for a long time.
Yes.
So, yeah.
Has been. Voyage and Return. We have Visiting a Strange Land. Les Morts d'Arthur. Thank you, Dharma. Thank you so much. I was like, oh, yeah. And he even said he like used that as to help him write the book. So there you go. Visiting a Strange Land. I have Alice in Wonderland. I have The Time Machine. There's your H.G. Wells. And then Peter Pan. Now, a word of caution about Peter Pan specifically and a lot of these older works. There is a lot of nasty writing in there. So Voyage and Return is if somebody goes but they didn't have a quest. So like in Peter Pan, for example, Wendy and the boys go to the Neverland, but they don't really have any kind of goal except to get back home. I could also put kind of the Wizard of Oz into this, but she had to get the ruby slippers, and then she had the ruby slippers, and then she had to get she had to go kill, I guess that really could be defeat the monster for Wizard of Oz, but Wizard of Oz is a weird one.
But she didn't know about the witch beforehand, though. Before
no, well, she was told to go kill the witch.
Do that. Yeah,
yeah. Voyage and Return is literally just like you go. Yeah, Swiss Family Robertson is a great example of Voyage and Return. They don't go there for a thing. There wasn't a thing because the quest is like you have to have some like higher mission. So, for example, in Treasure Island, they're going for the treasure. You know, they're going after the treasure. In Visitor Strange Land, Alice goes to Wonderland. Like, that's so nonsensical. She had no goals whatsoever. She was just exploring. So if your characters are just kind of exploring, and then once they're there, kind of like things happen, that then you're more in the Voyage and Return. Yes, Journey to the Center of the Earth is more of a journey and return. Exactly. All right, comedy stuff happens. Happy ending. So here are some of them that I have. Keep adding more into the chat. There's a whole bunch. Shakespeare had a lot. Much Ado About Nothing, Twelfth Night, Midsummer Night's Dream is one of my favorites because you have all that fairy magic. Like that is ripe for all kinds of fun stuff to play with. Pygmalion, which is My Fair Lady, A Connecticut Yankee in King Arthur's Court, which is one of the earliest examples of time travel. Not the earliest. I mean, H.G. Wells obviously did time travel as well, but yeah, Connecticut Yankee in King Arthur's Court. Some other famous comedies. April, anything you can think of?
Not in the public domain.
So I would think Emma.
Stuff happens. The Wizard of Oz stuff does happen, and it has a happy ending, but it's kind of creepy too, and some cruelty going on in the real action of the movie. Yeah.
Absolutely. And the point of this game is that there's all these universal plots. Things can fall into multiple things, but it's just to give you some examples. Gulliver's Travels is another great one. All right. And then the last two that we have is tragedy. Stuff happens, sad ending. Great Gatsby, Romeo and Juliet, Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. The Portrait of Dorian Gray would fall into this category too, I think, unless he's in the Rebirth one. Scarlet Pumpernickel. Pumpernickel, not Pumpernickel. Pumpernickel, the Canterbury Tales.
Are we hungry?
Yeah. Hamlet is definitely a tragedy. Romeo and Juliet, obviously a tragedy. Othello, a tragedy. Macbeth, absolutely. So they were saying Scarlet, I think, for the tragedy, not for the comedy. Not for the comedy. So there's lots of great stories here. And then last but not least is the Rebirth one. Transformation. I would say this is where I put Pride and Prejudice, because the reason I put this here is because the fandom likes more that the characters change. That's the number one thing everybody's looking for in a JAFF book. Correct me if I'm wrong, April. They want Darcy and Elizabeth to fall in love, but the payoff is who changed and how.
Right. And they both change. It's not just one person.
Yeah.
They both transform.
If you just write Darcy and Elizabeth, if you just write Darcy and Elizabeth getting together, everyone's like, there's no story here. There's no story here. Christine's
millionaire. He has to.
There's a
huge payoff for Elizabeth.
Yes. Christine says that she would put the Count of Monte Cristo in this one. That's also a great one. I would say that the quest for transformation. This is also where I put Beauty and the Beast. Because the beast changes, literally. The original title was First Impressions in the 1700s when she wrote it. And then A Christmas Carol is one of the most famous pieces of public domain content in this category. Hello, the Muppets did it.
Mm-hmm. That's one of my
Princess and the Frog.
Yep.
The original story, not that Disney thing that they did, which had nothing to do with the original story.
Christmas Carol will always be one of my favorites. I can't help it. I love it so much.
Yes. Okay, the Gypsy Garden Homestead says, in every novel, there should be some sort of change in the characters. Yes. What we're talking about is what is the novel's primary driver. So in A Christmas Carol, the primary driver of that plot is just about Ebenezer Scrooge's transformation. In Treasure Island, it's not about Jack Hawkins changing. I mean, he did change, but it's not about him changing that much. It's about him getting on the boat and going after the treasure, having those adventures, getting betrayed, and then coming back home. Was he changed by it? Yes. But he didn't necessarily get on the boat for the goal of like, I'm here to grow up and to change my ways. That wasn't the point of the novel. So there we go. So we'll continue on a little bit more information here because there's some important stuff. So now get your notes out. So what is fair game? Dialogue and details from the original written work. Everybody in the chat put original written work. Original written work. Original written work. I'm going to put it on a banner. Original written work. Okay? Original written work. Tropes and twists that are fan favorites. Can you think of some fan favorites for Jane Austen? Forced proximity is a favorite trope. Forced marriage is a favorite trope. The he didn't know who she was is a good trope. Yes. Original written work. Keep as much of the original spirit as possible. The reason I say this is because when you're writing derivative fiction, your goal is to get people who are fans of that story world to want to go along with you for the ride. So I'm going to use the examples of Sherlock, okay? Because in the last couple of years, we have had a bajillion different Sherlock reimaginings. Since that man went into the public domain, let's say he has gotten around, okay? You have Elementary with Johnny Lee Miller, which was a really fun show on CBS. Then you have Sherlock with Cumberbatch. Benedict, you know his name? Snitchbatch, whatever. Yes. Yes, Benedict. Then you also had the Robert Downey Jr. movies, which were Sherlock. Which were Sherlock Holmes and everything like that. And you had
what was the one with the sister? Did they have one with the younger sister?
That's Enola Holmes. Now here's the interesting thing. Enola Holmes does not exist in the original books. So you cannot use her. You can only use what's in the original books.
Right.
You can invent things that are not in the original books if no one else is doing them, but you cannot take things from other stuff. So dialogue and details from newer publications and media are a no-no. There's some lines in the 2005 Jane Austen movie, Pride and Prejudice movie that people put in their books all the time, and I want to scream because they're not in the original book. So you should not use them. Will you get caught? When you get caught, it'll be very painful and not fun to do. So don't do it. Exploration's exciting to a writer, but fail to capture readers' attentions. I'll give you an example. Don't really write a story from Mary's point of view. Nobody cares about Mary.
Even though they're coming out with the other books.
I know. It's out right now, but here's the thing, it's just not as popular.
I did it in 2015.
And how well did it sell?
Listen, Linda, not that well. People say they want those stories. People say they want the sisters. They're lying. Don't listen to them. They are lying.
Don't listen to them. Mary Bennett. Yeah. Let's think of a really bad example of it's exciting to a writer. Okay. But it just fails to capture reader attention. Oh, I know. There's another show that I tried to watch, that is Watson. So it's from Dr. Watson's point of view. I couldn't even get past the first 5 minutes. Nobody cares. If it's a side character, there's a reason they're a side character. Now, if it's a side character that's just like amazing, then you can have some fun things. And what I mean by that is, okay, going back to the Wizard of Oz, you have Dorothy. There are some other characters there, the Tin Man, the Scarecrow, the Lion, the Wizard, that would be interesting for explorations and things like that, for different adventures. The other thing So Dharma says, although the books are written from Watson's point of view, that's true. You could write your book still from Watson's point of view if you're doing it. But my point is that you would be making Sherlock still the main character, not Dr. Watson.
Yeah.
Not Dr. Watson. So there we go. Isn't Wicked fall into this flipped? Yes, it does. Wicked is a good example of taking something and really kind of exploring it. They took the original and they really invented it kind of differently. Don't expect everyone in a fandom to love your mashup. We run into this at JAFF a lot. Sometimes people think it's a really great idea of like, I'm going to mix Pride and Prejudice and Alice in Wonderland. And what you basically do is you end up letting both of the fandoms down a little bit because they're there for their main show. They're not there for something else. The same caveats about Nordic mythology. Loki is Hela's father in the original story, not brother. So yeah, you just want to go back to the original written work. That's the key thing here. And I'm just going to leave it up as a spanner. So here's specific for Jane Austen. Pride and Prejudice is by far the most popular. We talked about that. I know people are like, but Clueless and Emma. I know. And you can. I'm not stopping you. Just don't come complaining to me if it doesn't sell as well. It's just not what the market wants.
She'll tell you,
Darcy and
your expectations.
Yep. Darcy and Elizabeth's stories sell best in the Regency time period. Doesn't mean that you can't. What I tell people as a general rule of guidance here is that wherever you would have sold if it was a straight Regency, Darcy and Elizabeth variation, each major change you make from that, you're going to half your sales. So if you're here with Darcy and Elizabeth and it's Regency, and then you start adding like magical realism, you're going to half your sales at first. If you can continue that, you can then tap into another market that's bringing in the people who like magic and things like that. But if you go Darcy and Elizabeth and you focus on Jane and Bingley, you're cutting your sales in half. If you go Darcy and Elizabeth and you make it modern, you're cutting your sales in half as an indie. Would you think that that's mostly true, April?
Absolutely. You can do it. Absolutely. If you have to get it out of your system, but manage your expectations for sales. There's nothing wrong with doing it. You just have to be ready for it not to sell as well as Darcy and Elizabeth.
Those can have other opportunities. Unleashing Mr. Darcy, for example, is a trad pub book. I met the author when I was part of RWA back in down in Texas. So you can do things that are modern, that aren't going to appeal to the fandom, but will appeal to a broader market for a trad pub to advertise and stuff like that if that's what you're after.
I'm waiting on Shonda to pick up the Vampires of Derbyshire. I'm just waiting any minute for her call. She can have it. It's magical. It's wonderful.
The other works will require a bigger marketing budget. Might as well write original fiction in some cases. So if you're going to go really crazy of like, I want to write Darcy and Elizabeth time traveling. My question is, do your characters need to be Darcy and Elizabeth, or can you just write time travel? Are those the most interesting characters for your story? And that's sometimes hard for authors to look at. Change Darcy or Elizabeth's characterization into something unlikable. Readers identify with them. Let me tell you about the once upon a time I thought it would be a good idea to write Darcy and Elizabeth cheating on their spouses because they were already married to Anne and Collins.
No,
that story never even finished. It never went anywhere. As soon as I started posting like chapter 1 on a word group.
I think Elizabeth married to the Colonel first, and he died, right? He was out of the picture. He died, and they had a child together, and that was her secret, right? Oh, people were so angry. They were so angry.
Mm-hmm.
But it was a beautiful, heartwarming story. Screw them.
Yeah. And Rochelle, we should get her on here because Rochelle started a Jane Austen fan fiction name.
Yeah.
The first time I did this presentation, I guess 2 years ago in the FFA, and she's really just like going crazy with her books. So, Rochelle, if you want to join us, let me know. Don't smash too many public domain works together. We talked about that already. You know, Count of Monte Cristo meets Alice in Wonderland meets
Treasure Island.
Treasure Island. That's a little extra. A little extra.
Too much.
Little too much. All right, so here's some fan fiction numbers. Now, I'm going to tell you that this is actually a really good thing to do. If you go to fanfiction.net, first of all, be prepared. You're going to step back into like 1995 as far as the internet goes, because it's a busted looking website. But if you click on books, it will show you all of the fandoms. Now, here's something else. If you don't want to do derivative fiction, okay, you don't have to. Fanfiction.net is a really great way to see what kinds of long-term interests there are in specific genres. So, for example, the Vampire Academy has a bunch of fandoms there. Does that mean that you should make that? No, because that's not in public domain. You can't do that. But the idea of an academy with vampires at it, that's not something that anybody owns. So,
yeah,
again, you can use fanfiction.net for a lot of different things, including looking at how big fandoms are of certain things. So, for example, this is also a good way to see what properties are ripe for your variations and which ones are not. Sherlock Holmes and Pride and Prejudice are by far, there's 5,900 stories of Pride and Prejudice. There's 4,400 Sherlock Holmes stories. I just had to update these numbers today. They both went up by a few hundred from the last time I gave this presentation. Emma is at 396. So understand, it doesn't mean that nobody likes Emma. There's 396 people who like Emma.
Yeah.
But the reality is that it's a good kind of lead indicator in terms of what people are interested in. And Alice in Wonderland's pretty good at 1,800. Okay. So there was one other thing I wanted to show there. That was an important thing. Readers love familiar but slightly different. If you're courting crossover audiences from a public domain work, it gives you easy access to keywords for advertising, and you can introduce new readers to your back catalog. This is something else I was going to say too. So I didn't talk about crossover stories, Zamusel, in terms of these numbers. I just looked at the straight numbers because I'm just making the present. It's just an indicator. It's not gospel data or anything like that. Here's the thing, okay? If I already write cozy mystery, doing something with Sherlock Holmes is a natural fit. Right. Or doing something with Nancy Drew, because guess who just went into the public domain this year?
Oh, no.
Good old Nancy in her original books. Yes. So doing a public domain genre that makes sense for your genre. Yes, they are the number of authors who wrote the derivative, not the reader count. But the number of stories in a specific area does indicate how many readers are there. You can look, but there's just no way that 396 stories of Emma are going to get more readers than 5,900 Pride and Prejudice stories. That's not how fan fiction works. Yes, it's just the number of stories on fanfiction.net, according to them. I'm moving on, people. Go to fanfiction.net yourself with the comments. Okay. So derivative work is literally everywhere, especially to public domain content, because you don't have to pay licensing fees. If you want to write off something still under copyright, you have to pay, and bigger publishers use the public domain trick all the time. So you can see sequels with Death Comes to Pemberley by P.D. James. New settings, A Touch of Darkness. This one is, I believe, Hades in a nightclub. Add original characters, Percy Jackson and the Lightning Thief. The idea of demigods is not new. The idea of children of the gods is not new. But bringing it into YA and kind of morphing all of that was kind of fresh. Revisits, new point of view. The Forgotten Sisters. See, I brought Mary into this. And Longbourn. I could not stand Longbourn. Couldn't get into it. It's getting a movie.
Okay, I liked it. But okay, that's us.
I know.
That's us.
That's us. Exactly. Just because I don't like it doesn't mean it shouldn't happen. It just means I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to write from the servant's point of view. New canon. Wicked and Enola Holmes are some of the best examples of somebody really expanding the canon into a whole new adjacent story world. We almost call this AU in the fan fiction world, alternate universe. Because Sherlock Holmes never had a sister named in the original series, you're almost making this alternate universe where Sherlock Holmes has a sister. You could make one that he has a twin brother. There's lots of fun things that you can do. And then this is a prequel, Dracul, which is actually a prequel to Dracula. Go ahead, April.
Oh, no, I was just looking at Dharma's comment. I was getting a book review from her, a book recommendation.
Oh, Salt and Broom. Yes. Okay, so those are all off limits. You cannot use, for example, Enola Holmes is kidnapped from Camp Half-Blood to Nevernight by Elphaba from Oz. Anything an author adds to a public domain work is their intellectual property. Go back to the source material, the original stuff.
Yeah.
Holmes may have a twin already. That's no, I don't know that that's canon for him to have a twin. I'm not sure. I haven't read them all. That's a good question. But if you use AI technology to write, it loves to rip off public domain works and it knows them inside and out. So if you're basically saying, hey, I want to do, he has a brother named Mycroft. Yes, I know he has a brother, but I don't know that Mycroft is his twin. Yes, not a twin. Exactly. See, I thought twin thing was not canon, but the older brother was. So if you're like, hey, I want to do a Vampire Academy type story inspired by the Count of Monte Cristo, you can get that plot. We're actually going to play with that in ChatGPT in a little bit. Or we'll play with Claude. We'll see how Claude can do things. Okay, so here's the big thing that everybody always asks. Can you get sued? Yes, you can get sued for sneezing. That's just the way it is. The risks of being sued when you run a business. I've been sued. It's not fun. I was not sued for anything to do with my JAFF stuff. Tort litigation is expensive and difficult to find representation when you are small. I was able to get out of the case. I never should have been in it in the first place. However, it still cost me $5,000 to get a lawyer to do that. That said, if you work from the original material, it does not matter if another work has the same detail. Legally, I can call Mr. Darcy's estate Pemberley because that's what Austen called it, and another author can too. Doesn't mean another author won't be dumb and try a frivolous action against me. I have to be willing to defend myself. But truthfully, and April can talk to me about this, I see more litigation in the original fiction markets with trademarks and plagiarism than I do in derivative works.
Absolutely. Authors try to trademark the names of families, the last names of families that they've written. We all know about Cockygate. There's no need to look at that. And if you don't, just Google Cockygate.
Just Google Cockygate.
Indies have some fun things going on with their original works at times.
Now, going with the bigger fandoms also has a level of protection to it. Let me tell you about the time my books got reported. So in JAFF, the other authors can be absolute witches, and that's putting it nicely. There are communities and groups. Some of them are smaller now because the people have literally died. And I'm being nice about this. Like, they attacked my books and put 1-star reviews. And one of the dumbest ones didn't even change her avatar on her Kindle customer page from her avatar on the freaking forum. Like, that's how dumb they are. And she just wrote a review of 1 star. She's a greedy pig, blah, blah, blah. She's only doing it for the money. Anybody who talks to me for 5 minutes about Jane Austen knows I'm not doing this for the money. Like, I have Austen stuff.
I love
Jane Austen.
They were just mad that they had left money on the table. That's all it was. And she's not as skilled as you at writing Jane Austen variations. She's just not. And I'm not saying that because I'm your friend. I'm saying that because I've tried to read her stuff. And
yeah, we're not naming her. It's okay. She has no. So the point is that so there was a thing at a time where people were reporting books for being miscategorized. Now, I've always believed that authors should, I'll come back to the presentation, authors should stay out of it. Anything that has to do with reporting books or anything like that, my ethical standpoint is, if you are an author, it's none of your business. It's none ya. It's not your business. Readers may report books. Readers may review books. If you are an author and you want to give another author a review, your actual thing that you should do is give them an editorial review. You should give them a review that they can put in the editorial section. So like if I wanted to read Rachel's books and give her a review as Elizabeth Ann West, I would not go into the star part and put 5 stars Elizabeth Ann West. I would give her a review that's like amazing, read it cover to cover, loved the detail about the cat, and then it would be a dash Elizabeth Ann West, comma, author of To Capture Mr. Darcy. That's the appropriate way to do things, but most authors don't know that. So authors, being witches, were running around and reporting books for being miscategorized. And their big thing was that they were like, no, the books cannot be in Scottish and Irish historical fiction. And my book got reported. And I just very calmly wrote back to Amazon and I was like, I'm happy to move my book. However, in this book, he literally has a Scottish estate. So at the time of the story, it's all one thing. They travel to Scotland. So I don't know what you want me to do. Moral of the story, I got to keep my category. But my readers got me screenshots of the authors who had named my book to be on the report list. I handed that over to Amazon. And guess who was abusing the series name? A series name should actually be a series. You should not use a series name to keyword your books. Does that mean that everybody gets nailed who does this? No. Do a lot of people get away with it? Yeah. But you know what? If you're doing something like that, maybe you shouldn't throw rocks at other authors. So I took a screenshot of what her attacking me. I took a screenshot of her books where she was misusing the series thing. These books are not in a series. Guess who lost her series page? Not me. So being in the bigger fandoms, you can have readers who are loyal to you who will help protect you when people try to do shenanigans, because success begets shenanigans. If you are successful, people will try to tear you down. That's just what they do. I wish it was different. We just had that with Mia Ballard. You know, she's successful and somebody decides to, not somebody, Thaddeus McElroy decides to run her book through AI detectors and then run with it. I'm gobsmacked by that. Just absolutely gobsmacked. So the point is that having a readership, being in the bigger properties, the public domain stuff can also add a level of safety.
Readers will, JAFF readers are on it before we even know what's going on. They will find a book that someone has taken and put up with a different cover. It's down in no time. You don't have to even ask them. They are on it like a Jane Austen bonnet, as we like to say.
Yep.
They're wonderful and they're terrible.
Wonderful and they're terrible.
They are both. They are both.
Okay, so before I get into about my JAFF empire real fast, I just want to talk about the notes that we do have some classes available. The writing intensive is closing soon. We're starting April 13th. And that link is in your notes for you to sign up. It is $750 to join the intensive, but we're doing some really cool stuff in the intensive. It's a 3-week course with me. I will be working with people who are in that course about their specific ideas about JAFF and helping to guide them. What are my credentials for that? I have story doctored and helped dozens of authors go to 4-figure book careers. April can bona fide for me. Rochelle can bona fide for me.
So many. I've warned her many times to keep things secret, but Elizabeth Ann West never does. She will tell you how the sausage is made.
You really don't want to, because I can't. Well, back at the time, I couldn't write as many books as my readers wanted, and so I needed to keep the genre alive. When I wrote my first JAFF book, there was no new books. There had been no new books for like 2 months. The genre was dying.
And she really did.
I helped revitalize it. I wasn't the only one. But yeah, I went to my indie friends and I was like, hey, I literally recruited.
And those people did very well. Yeah.
The other thing that is a big part of the, hold on, I'm going to remove that and I'm going to stop screen. I'm going to share a different screen. So I'm just going to share your notes really fast. Okay, so your classes, the classes that we do have available, we have this month right now. March classes are out. You can get 50% off with coupon JAFF, JAFF, all caps, Jane Austen fan fiction. Building a writer hub in Notion with Stacy. That is a great course if you cannot afford the JAFF intensive, because we're going to be working in Notion for the class that I'm teaching with Notion's AI. So you will not need any other tools but Notion's AI. Build an author writing hub in Notion with Stacy is a great course that is available this month. We talked about these more in depth last week. Women's fiction serial romance with Harper. That's another great example of someone who has been successful in a genre to show you exactly how to write to market for that genre. Women's fiction serial romances are a very specific sub niche, because it's women's fiction, it's romantic, but it's serialized. So it's a sub niche. And sub niches are a great place to get readers, because if you are very specific, you are feeding a fandom that is usually hungry for more, and they're not getting enough books. Mm-hmm. Story discovery in Obsidian with Carlo. Another great class, because again, Obsidian is free and open source. So you take the class, you learn Obsidian. He shows really great stuff. So Obsidian can be your whole hub for all of your stories. And then we have the wonderful Lynn doing AI as a junior editor, which is another great class. So if you want to increase your editing chops, there is the editing class with Lynn. If you are a member of the mastermind, the membership, you get all these classes already. So for $249, you can get all of those classes. Plus all of the classes that are in the bundle. This does not have a coupon. None of the stuff below here has a coupon. So all 4 of Kim's intro to advanced AI tools, anti-gravity Claude Code, Claude Skills, and Obsidian is available as a bundle. And then finally is the writing intensive. So I want to talk a little bit about the writing intensive.
They can't get the writing intensive for the $249. Those are that's the one you can't get that way.
No, and the reason for that is because I want to make it really good, and I want to give people time. I want to give you my time to make sure that our one-on-ones. So all of the content is going to be pre-recorded. It will be demos by me and stuff like that. And then 3 times a week I am live. I will be setting the times based off of the people who join. So I will make sure everybody has a time that they can come live. And if they can't come live, we'll figure something out. Because I'm really committed to this. It's important to me that if people are going to go into JAFF, that they do it right. I have had plenty of people who have been fly-by-nights who are like, oh, Elizabeth said it was great, and I'm just going to write this crappy stuff where her dress zips. You put a zipper in her dress?
Don't do it. No teddy bears. No teddy bears.
No teddy bears. You can have a bear, but you can't have teddy bears. So no toy trains. No anachronisms.
None of that. Don't do it.
But here's the thing. There's also a secret. Here's the secret. There is something out there that I put out a while ago with no marketing. No telling my readers, no telling anybody, on the power of keywords and KU alone, that book is selling. And you will be privy to those sales numbers and everything like that in the intensive. So you'll get everything. You'll get to see exactly how the sausage was made, as April puts it. This is why this course is $750, because I have helped people write and make tens of thousands of dollars writing JAFF.
I need those stats, ma'am, in my back channel.
Yeah, it's already, let's just say the first 3 hours were very, very impressive. There's snap, snappity snap. Put it this way. Stephanie called me. Elizabeth! She put it in the text. Seriously. So when you crack open the fact that publishing can go on the power of metadata, that you can make money off of the power of keywords, whether it's Treasure Island, whether it's Pride and Prejudice, whether it's, different things that are in the public domain, Alice in Wonderland and stuff like that. You start to think more like a publisher. You start to think more in terms of what are the markets. And that is very difficult to do if you are writing original fiction, because when we come into original fiction, we are coming through the prism that everything has to be different. Everything has to be unique. And quite frankly, most amateur writers, when they're writing original fiction, they're not original at all. April, you've read some first time writers with the shuffle steps to the bed, and Starting with a dream sequence.
Well, you know, everybody has to start somewhere because we all.
Everybody
I
has to
have
start
not
somewhere.
always been the best at writing Jeff, but I do have. I focus on the people who love what I bring to Jeff, and that's what you have to do. Is you're not going to imitate Elizabeth Ann West. Okay, she has a distinct storytelling style. It's beautiful. It's wonderful, and I always have to read her stuff first before I can go back and edit it because it is so. I'm enraptured with her writing. That has nothing to do with her being my friend, and everything to do with she loves that genre. She loves
I
that
do.
genre, and she wanted to keep it alive, and it shows in her writing. That's why you always
So
hear people tell you write what you love because it shows.
you should be reader zero. You should be writing something that you love reading. And I think that even applies for AI writing, because if you're working with AI writing, and the book that is the test book, it was written with AI, and there with AI assistance, and there were some things in there that I had to fix. I was like, nah, nope, don't like that, changing it. And that's the only way you can have that opinion is if it's something you care about.
Yeah.
So this is about what the future of publishing actually is. So there you go. Okay, back to the notes. I think I do it like this. I'm getting good. So this link here takes you to the presentation. It has the list of the 7 universal. Here are some example public domain source buckets. So the Jane Austen works are all public domain. Here's some interesting ones that you may not have even thought of. The Phantom of the Opera, Les Mis, Alice in Wonderland. The Secret Garden is also available. The Secret Garden, I think, could be a really good one for like a dark romance. Not with children. No children. Dracula, Jane Eyre, Wuthering Heights. We just got that movie. Little Women, Frankenstein, The Hunchback of Notre Dame, The Scarlet Pimpernel, The Great Gatsby, The Sun Also Rises, Winnie the Pooh. Not red shirt Winnie the Pooh. Not red shirt. You cannot have a red shirt. No, the OG Winnie the Pooh. Pooh Bear. Picture of Dorian Gray. A lot of these we did name. 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea and Moby Dick. Ancient medieval folklore, traditional source entries. You have all of the Bible, the Homer, the Iliad, the Aeneid, Beowulf, Don Quixote, Romance of the Three Kingdoms, Robin Hood, Little Red Riding Hood, Sleeping Beauty. So these ones are somewhat safe. Sherlock Holmes is canon in the US, but later adaptations are not. So you have to make sure you're going to the source material. Same thing with like Peter Pan and Winnie the Pooh. Make sure you're going back to the original material. And what I was going to say back when I kind of lost my thought. Peter Pan has a lot of racist things in the original text. Please don't bring those forward. We don't need that. That should just stay back there. You don't need the nasty stuff that's in some of these original works. Hardy Boys, Nancy Drew, Hercule, I can never say his name, Hercule Poirot, Anne of Green Gables. Anne of Green Gables actually has a pretty good following as well.
Yeah.
And then Peter Rabbit is also public domain, which is probably why we suddenly got Peter Rabbit movies all of a sudden, don't you think?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So there you go. And like I said, just because one book doesn't mean the whole thing is public domain. So only the thing that was older is there. So now I want to talk a little bit about the history of what's gone on remove that. Share, stop the screen, share a different screen. I'm going to talk a little bit about my career at JAFF so that you understand who you would be learning from if you do decide to take the intensive, but also just good tips for you. And I'm going to talk about this even more about how this relates to Future Fiction Press. This is going to be strange to you. Every time I teach this, people are like, what the heck? So 2005 to 2014, I was reader zero. I was a huge fan of the niche genre that was sold in stores from 2005 to 2009 by big publishers because of the 2005 movie. Whenever a big movie comes out, there's about 5 years of interest from Trad Pub that they'll put books out. And then it just kind of wanes down because it doesn't make as much money. But April, what's coming this fall? To Netflix.
It's a new Pride and Prejudice, right?
It is. It's a new Pride and Prejudice for the new generation.
I'm so excited.
Yeah, they got Rufus Sewell playing Mr. Bennet. Netflix has a Pride and Prejudice series coming out. Absolutely. So in 2014, there was no new books. I had a job at a daycare at a casino, which is as terrible as that sounds.
It was horrible. It was really horrible.
Never have a job where you can watch people drop their 6-week-old infant at the beginning of the day and not pick them up till midnight. Just don't ever have that job. Anyway, I wrote and published The Trouble with Horses because nothing was out and I was in need. I sold over 1,500 units. First 30 days, revenue of $4,000, over 80% profit margin.
Because we did everything on a bootstrap, a shoestring, whatever you want to call it. That's how we worked.
Yep. And then 2014 through 2018, I experimented and I blogged chapters. I wrote 15 books. That did not help it, did it? Because now it's not cut off. That's not what I wanted. Hold on here. I wrote 15 books, novels and novellas, series and not. I posted my chapters as I wrote them. I used BookBub, Facebook ads, Google ads to promote my books. If there was an experiment, I tried it. I was selling direct in 2017. And if you don't believe me that I was early on a lot of these things, I'm not saying I was first, not at all, but I was early and loud about it. You can go to a place called K-Boards and you can still see my old posts about that. And literally people being like, sell direct, you're just cannibalizing your Amazon sales. No, I didn't. Matter of fact, a lot of my readers bought direct from me and then still went and bought it on Amazon too. Don't ask me why. I don't get it. But there were people who didn't.
And bought it.
Huh?
People read it on fan fiction sites and bought it.
Yep. So ways I stayed profitable. Membership site. Cooperating in genre. Remember how I talked about the witches? The witches wouldn't play with me. They wouldn't work with me. So I recruited my own people and we worked together.
She brought her own people to play with.
Yeah. If you can't join them, beat them. Blogging chapters. That's the craziest thing to me that authors don't do. Everyone in the genre does, I'm going to write a blog chapter about this historical nonsense about you. None of your readers care about that. Like a very small amount of people do so. Most people, they're reading it for escape. So they only, like, if I was to do a blog about historical facts, it would be tied to something in the chapter, which is actually a cool idea for an enhanced version, like an annotated version.
Yeah.
She asks if these are still available to buy somewhere. We are working on getting my whole catalog back up because I took it all down last summer. But you can purchase The Trouble with Horses. You can get them all in ebook right now. We actually have an intensive next week that we'll be working on getting them all back up. That's a good question. Did you post raw or edited? I posted raw, and here's why. Because if somebody stole from me, I would know because it still had a typo in it. Now, didn't it? So if you were going to steal from me, you had to clean it up.
And it wouldn't be
the way
I cleaned it for publication. It wouldn't be the same.
No. So if you write pretty clean, and you just put a note, you just tell your readers, this is draft. This is hot off the press. This is just for you. I'm telling you, it makes them feel special. It makes them feel loved. If you have a favorite author, think about what you want from that author. All you want is the next book. That's all you care about.
Yeah. Tell them your editor hasn't even seen it yet. You guys are the first readers. They'll love it forever.
Rochelle will be in the after party talking about her success. But I think we'll also be able to get her to come on here. So hold on a minute here. Let me give her the link so Rochelle can come in here as well because she has very recent JAFF experience.
Right.
And she can talk about how, it worked the way she said it would. Higher price points. That was the thing. So a word on alpha readers. Okay. In my genre, you could find some good ones, but a lot of them who are retired librarians and stuff, they will edit you to the nth degree to the point that there is no soul left in that left in that book. One person I let do it, it came back all red. Like there was comments on everything. And I'm like, honey, you're not supposed to rewrite the book. You're just supposed to.
You're not supposed to do that. But no, I was saying tell your readers when you blog your chapters, they're your first readers. They're getting it before your editor, before your proofreader, before anybody else. It's you and them. It's the two of you working on this. Yeah.
Yes, the blog is the alpha. And then the other thing too is that you don't have to have all your chapters up. So what I did is I used a WordPress site. I got a simple little plugin that was, how to restrict posts based off of people logged in, and I just made it so that the fourth chapter they had to give me an email address to keep reading. That was the exchange. And you can see a better version of this on futurefictionpress.com. So if you go to futurefictionpress.com, and we'll do a quick little tour there. Stephanie has built pretty much the new version of this. So if you go to futurefictionpress.com, we are now taking these things of how I built my empire and we are applying them to all genres. That is what we are doing. I will admit, we were a little bit slow on the uptake on this because we wanted to experiment with some other things and they did not work out. So I'm going back to what I know. It is a slow build, and I'm going to talk about that. The other thing is higher price points. When you cultivate your own readers, they love you. They want to buy your book. They don't care if it's $10. Ask yourself about people that you love and you're reading, and would you pay $10 to support them? Probably. There's been people who are $10 subscribers on the Future Fiction Press website, even though we haven't posted a new book. They're just supporting us. And you can also, we have books that are going to start vaulting on May 1st. So on May 1st, all the books on the site right now are available to read for free on futurefictionpress.com, but they will start vaulting next month because we have more books coming into the hopper and publishing now. Testing. This is something that I see a lot of authors stop doing. I don't know what's better. And April, you can tell me, because we know authors who do the same thing over and over and over again, and they've made $1 million doing it.
Mm-hmm. Many different iterations of doing it. 5-6 series of the same, but different names. And they own $1 million houses, and that's great. I want to figure that out one day. There's Rochelle.
Hey, Rochelle.
Oh, hi.
I'll be with you, and I'll have you share in just a second. Okay, so here's all the information about what I did. My blogging chapters were mobile friendly. I forgot that I had this. Niche genres can command higher price points if you make fans happy. My unpopular advertising, I did Google ads to my blog chapters, video ads before they took off, new thing, YouTube channel. So plus a lot of do-it-yourself.
One thing.
So this is, go ahead.
One thing we did in our Jane Side group, this was when having a Facebook group was a big thing. Each week I would share the new releases, right? Our book, our new release would be there in with them so that we could say, oh, people are clicking on those new releases and also this one. So we were included in their also bots. That was a fun, sneaky way to do it because you're being supportive of everyone else, but you are picking the books you want to be in with in the also bots.
Why are you and April talking at the same time? Rochelle just sent me a message. She's like, why are you talking? Oh, I should get off YouTube. Yeah, there's a delay.
Okay, I can't find my StreamYard now. I got off YouTube, so... Oh, okay, I'm on...
Oh.
Okay. All right,
yeah, you're
I'm
there.
So confused. You guys were talking at the same time. Sorry.
Firebird Fairy Tale says they still use WordPress blog for free and it still works. These are my actual 30-day sales on these books, and I'm showing a difference of a tale. These are all books that had AI in them. They were the first 3 books that I did with AI. The Test of Fire did almost $6,000 in the first 30 days just on the Amazon and stuff like that. And then the books that were not blogged, Happy Was the Day, $2,500, and then the For the Love of a Bennett, $1,600. Those books, I just kind of threw them out the door. I didn't blog them, so my readers didn't know that they were coming, and it made a big difference. And all the difference of this is just
those books are just as good as Test of Fire. They
Yes.
are.
This is data from when they released, so it's their first 30 days. Okay, right. So this is the first 30 days of A Test of Fire, which came out in December of 2021. Happy Was the Day came out, I want to say it was April or March of 2022. For the Love of a Bennett came out at the end of May of 2022. And the only reason I know that is because one of the reasons For the Love of a Bennett got zero love, got zero promotion for me once it came out, is it literally came out the day of the school shooting down in Texas, which was like one school district over from where my nieces and nephews go to school. So I was just a blubbering mess. But here's the thing. There are so many indie authors who would give their eye teeth for $1,600 and $2,600 with no ads running, no costs. You just put the book out, and that's on the merits of your own mailing list and things like that. And obviously, A Test of Fire, all of these books were not released in KU. I did experiment with a book in KU. It was before AI, and that was Mr. Darcy's 12th Night. I put that thing in KU, and I made a third of what I usually make from a book. So I learned early on that by that point in my career, KU was not helpful.
And that was before
now again,
everybody went to KU with JAFF, which really made me so angry. They turned it into a KU genre. Pissed me off.
I think KU for JAFF makes sense if you're trying to start a pen name. Like, get your first couple of books into KU, but you should probably have a plan to go wide once you know that you have your mailing list going and all of that, because they will buy your books, especially if you have them available to read for free on your website. The other thing too is, so the reason why I did the experiment that I did is because these books, obviously 2021, 2022, that's 5 and 4 years ago. That's why I have the experiment running on like a book that literally is pretty current and things like that, so people can see that. So we're not going to do questions here. We're going to do questions with Rochelle. Now, Rochelle, when did you start writing JAFF in earnest? And you write under Rochelle Ayala, so anyone can go to Amazon and check out your books.
I've lost my browser window, but can you guys could see me?
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Okay,
mm-hmm.
So well, I actually started writing JAFF when you brought me on this Rexy thing. We were demoing Rexy, and that was the Halloween one, the Bewitched at Pemberley, and I had not any clue really what it was all about. I just said, oh, okay, we're going to demonstrate Rexy because you were going to do something else. And so I said, well, I'll just have Rexy write a JAFF Halloween story. And so, yeah, that's kind of how I started. And what was surprising was I also had this Christmas novella that was in a box set. But the subplot was that these two, they were like high school sweethearts, and then they got put on this Christmas play together. And I didn't want to do the usual Christmas play. And since I knew Elizabeth, I said, well, why don't I just do a Christmas play that has Elizabeth and Darcy? And so I wrote that play, wrote the novella, but the novella, went in a box set. And then I decided to publish, take the play and turn it into a little novella, publish that as a gift intended. And I didn't do any marketing, didn't do anything. And then people started getting it. So I was like, oh, that's interesting. And so
I tell people, I'm like, if you write JAFF correctly, and when I say correctly, I mean as a fan of the genre, if you just take any old story and you slap Darcy and Elizabeth on it, the first couple of readers will basically put out the call and say, like, don't get it. This person is a pretender. Like, this person's a scammer. This person's not here for us. But there are little things like you can send signals to the readership on, and we're going to go over all of those in the intensive, but just a couple of them that you can kind of like send the wink, wink, nod, nod. It's like referring to them as our dear couple, ODC, our ODC. So if in your genre, if you're in your marketing, you're like the ODC, this couple sees our ODC do blah, blah, blah. As soon as you do that, you're basically sending the signal that you have been on the forums and all of that. Don't start using that if you don't understand that. Go be on the forums, because you've had some run-ins with the readers and stuff like that. What kind of reviews do you need to be prepared for if you're going to write Jane Austen fan fiction?
Oh, actually, at the beginning, I had read Pride and Prejudice, and so I reread it. And I think on one of my books, Between Frost and Friendship, I remember they said that Mr. Bingley had 6 sisters, or he had a lot of sisters. And so in that book, I brought all his sisters to Netherfield, and I just recently got a review where someone said, I don't understand why Bingley has all these sisters. And I thought, well, I was being accurate because I kind of, but I think in general, what I've learned is that you could do pretty much everything except you can't change Elizabeth's character. She always has to be,
Yeah.
she has to be kind, but she has to be witty, and she cannot be mousy or meek or any of that. So she needs to be who she is in Jane Austen. But you can do a lot of other things.
Unless you have her hit her head and give her amnesia. I did that in a book, and that
okay, so
you
I
can't
had
do
Darcy,
that device.
Darcy had amnesia, so we did the secret baby one where, you know, and I had to read, and you know, they had to have a secret baby. She has to have, you know, and I had a reader said, this is not clean, and I thought, well, I didn't show it explicitly, but you can't have a secret baby unless something happened.
Some secret stuff going on.
So yeah,
it's
that's
immaculate conception.
Right. So that was Mr. Darcy's forgotten heir. And so what it is the readers, they know stuff, and sometimes they think you made a mistake, but you really didn't, because you were trying to, you could probably get away with one or two major changes. Like I think in one of them, Mr. Darcy's father gambled away Georgiana's 30,000 pound dowry. And so obviously everything changed. So some of the stories you take off from a point, right? So you're taking off from a known point, like the Meryton Assembly, or you take off from the Netherfield Ball, like maybe Mary didn't play the piano. But others, if you do something like Georgiana's dowry was basically gambled away by and Mr. Bennet took it, and he didn't tell Mrs. Bennet or any of them, then the entire story's changed. There's nothing similar. Yeah. So there's
you still could have some similar things in that, but you have it happen because of different reasons.
Well, yeah, their personalities should probably be similar. And you could get away to some extent, because I do have one where recently I think a reader was upset because she said, how did Elizabeth be so stupid as to tell Mr. Wickham about the proposal? Well, okay, so, that one was the one we had to, make a so-called bad Lizzie and bad Darcy one. But I think I tend to take off more than Elizabeth West would, right? Elizabeth, you stick a little bit closer to the facts than I do. So, yeah.
Are you kidding?
Well, I don't know. You told me once, you said you're not, you're kind of a little far off. I remember you saying that.
Okay, so a test of fire, I literally just wanted to write Darcy as a fireman. I just wanted to write a scene where Darcy carried her out of a fire. So I put a fire at the Meryton Assembly. You know what? I might put a fire at Netherfield Ball. Let's do that one next. And then I can put a fire at Kent. It could be different stories. And then now I got something to box set them up. It's a 3-alarm Darcy, I
did a 5-alarm Darcy with different at each place there was some erotica things going on, and people ate those up. They did. They lied and said they didn't, but the bank statement says they did.
The bank statement says otherwise. Now, talking about the bank statement, I wanted to. Are you willing to share what you shared about like what level you got to this past year, and a big part of that was the JAFF?
Oh yeah, sure. I think my highest month was 16,000, and then it was averaging about 12,000 after I went on KU, though, because remember you first told me don't go on KU, so I wasn't on KU until August, and so then I was averaging about 4 to 6, and then after I went to KU, it like doubled, or just because I think what I've observed is the first month you'll get almost all the buys you're ever going to get. After that, it's just page reads, because the die-off, I mean, you get stuff, but the die-off comes pretty quickly too. So you get about 2 to 3 weeks, and then the rest is all residual page reads, because then the people are like, oh, let me just go see what this is. Yeah.
But I think it still works different I would still give the advice to either, it's still okay to be wide or be KU, because I think you made that money in KU because you had a catalog that went into KU. So people were rabid waiting for it because they watched the books be available only for sale, because they talk. they're all in the little groups and everything like that. So by the time you moved them into KU, it was like, oh, this is crazy. Because my books have been actually in and out of KU. I started off in KU. Actually, I started off as wide for like the first week. 2 weeks after The Trouble with Horses came out, Kindle Unlimited started, actually. Not KDP Select, that started back in 2011, but the actual like $10 a month, all you can read. And back then they paid $1.40 per borrow, right, April?
Mm-hmm. And people did the pamphlets.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes. And so then they went to page reads. So July of 2014, I threw The Trouble with Horses and A Winter Wrong in there. And then I followed that up with Winter Wrong, a spring sentiment, and then A Summer Shame, and Very Merry Mischief. But then I started writing the novels. Those are all novellas. And then I was going to write a novel. And when I was doing these novellas, and this is back in 2014, I was putting more books out, but I wasn't making more money. So that told me at that time, and this is nascent, like KU was nascent, okay? It was brand new. I'm not giving this advice for now. My stuff wasn't growing. So I went ahead and pulled it all out, went wide, and all of a sudden things went gangbusters because I reached a whole new audience, and I was posting on fanfiction.net, and that was a different time, 2014. That's 12 years ago.
Yeah.
So stuff was selling on Barnes & Noble and Apple and Kobo and Google, which Google I think was still like very, very kind of new back then. And then when COVID hit, by that point I had 19 books. The books had been selling, making me about $500 to about $1,000 a month. It was after my divorce. I wasn't promoting them anymore. I didn't have any ads. I threw the whole damn catalog into Kindle Unlimited, and suddenly I had $3,000 to $4,000 a month for 3 or 4 months for nothing. So you do have some questions here. So how many books did you have in JAFF before you got to the 12K? And how many books did you have when you moved into KU?
Okay, so I don't have the exact numbers, but in August was when I went in, and I probably had, I don't know, 12 or 14. And I have to say something. Before I went into KU, I finally caught on in Kobo. And so that month where, you know how they don't really tell you until afterwards. So I had moved everything to KU, and all of a sudden I got like, more than I thought from going wide. And so what I'm going to do now is the older books that are kind of leveling off even in KU, I'm going to probably put those back wide. So
put those back wide.
Yeah, there's just to capture that other audience. And so I have a total of 24 right now. I think probably I would just guess 12 before I went into KU. I don't know, maybe less.
So you have 24 now, and Rexy came out in 2023. So you've been doing this for about 2.5 years. So that's almost like a book a month.
Yeah, and I'm able to do that well before even AI. I mean, right. I was the romance in a month person, and I'm a more of a weaver gardener, and so I brainstorm a lot, and I do the opposite thing. If AI tells me, "Oh, have them do this," I'm like, "Duh, I'm gonna," or "Don't do this." If they tell me don't do something that readers are gonna hate it, then I'm just like, "Oh, well, okay, let's do it." And that's where I had the one where Elizabeth told Wickham about the proposal. Oh, and he made fun of it, and then he goes and writes a letter to Lady Catherine. I mean, to try to capitalize. He does
Wickham things.
Yeah, of course. And she gave him the weapon. But so what I was going to say, there are readers who want the very close to canon. And so we have the low angst, middle angst, and high angst. And so the readers who like the comforting, close to canon, what you do is you look through the Pride and Prejudice, and you say, where am I going to take off? Am I going to take off after the Netherfield Ball, or am I going to take off when Elizabeth and Jane go to London? So now you're following really close, but you're changing one thing, and then it changes the rest. And then there's the readers who want medium angst, which mean that they don't want the couple to really have horrible trouble, but they want more variety than the close to canon ones. And then there's the high angst, which I kind of like that. Yeah, like the one where Lydia marries Mr. Collins because she got compromised, and And
Oh,
Darcy got
What a
blamed.
match. What a
Darcy
match.
got
I love
blamed
it.
for it because he barged in to go find his sister, and Wickham set him up. Of course, Wickham left Lydia in the room. He jumps out the window. Darcy gets blamed, and Collins comes in as the rescuer. And so
I
those
once
have
wrote a
nothing.
book where Mr. Collins got beat up by
Oh,
Fitzwilliam Darcy and Colonel Darcy and Seamus, Lady Matlock's footman, because he had struck Elizabeth. He had physically corrected her, and so yeah, he
yeah,
got his ass
good.
handed to him.
Physically
I've also
correct.
found the readers don't want you to let Wickham off the hook. So in one of them,
Nope.
Wickham tricked Lady Catherine so that he got Mr. Collins's parsonage, and I had a few reviews where they didn't like that, even though it was part of Wickham being Wickham.
Yeah, exactly. There's another question about, you said the 16K, roughly 16K a month, 12 to 16K a month. What percentage of that would you say is your JAFF books? Because I know you have like 240 something books. So
I did a
just
calculation. I
rough.
think it was 90%, and the rest of them are. So I have like this huge backlist of 100 plus 150 books. So what I've done with my old books is I put them in box sets, 99-cent box sets, KU. I've done that box set thing for years, and all during when 2023, those were the books that carried me, the box sets. So I never thought JAFF was gonna take me to the next level. And so I would say
So
90%. 90%.
the JAFF,
Yeah.
the income,
So
90% of it comes from your JAFF books.
right. And so you only have to write 12 books a year to get.
Okay, Elizabeth, I'm leaving now to work on my next JAFF book. I'll see you.
Yeah, you go.
But wait, you guys. So, but I don't want you guys to hear this. Yes, click the 77, click the like button. I don't want you to hear this and think like, oh, I'm just going to write one book and I'm going to make, thousands of dollars. Rochelle put in the work. She's had JAFF books that didn't hit with readers. She had JAFF books that they loved. She has gotten her 1-star reviews. She's read in the genre. So start off reading some of the books. Start off taking a look at some of them. One of my favorite ones is Mr. Darcy Presents His Wife, which you can't get because it's out of print and it's a paperback, but a great one for the genre. If you're looking at how sex is used in the genre, look at Linda Birdall, Mr. Darcy Takes a Wife. You can read my books available for free on futurefiction.press, futurefictionpress.com. Rochelle's books are all in KU, so you can take a look at her books as well. But it wasn't overnight you were making 12,000. You said your best month was 16,000, but you had 12 books to get up to that, or 14 books to get up to that, correct?
Well, what I do was I had the first ones were all wide, and then in August, so you're right, because readers all of a sudden said, "Oh, she's on KU," and so they kind of rushed in, and that month was really, really good. And
so these books, so basically what you're telling me is each book made about $3,000 to $6,000 wide, mostly Amazon sales.
No, the wide it's mostly, even when I had it wide, it was mostly Amazon. I mean, it was
right,
that's why it was disappointing with the other places, right? So I just
no. So my white sales, it was mostly Amazon, was 90% or whatever. But I made more money being in Amazon if I released wide than if I released in KU. So if I was in KU, my first 30 days would be $2,000 to $3,000. But if I released wide, I could have anywhere between $5,000 to $10,000. Just in Amazon, mostly Amazon sales alone. Because if they can't borrow it, they'll buy it. And then when you put it into KU, it would you get access to a whole nother audience. But you can't, if you're KU first and then go wide, there's no one to really buy it because they'll just get it in KU. If that makes sense.
Well, I'm not. Yeah, I think one of the things you could do is probably release it wide and then bring it into KU. But once I went to KU, I just said, well, I'll just be in KU.
Yeah, you were making it easy.
Get disappointed and say, wait, she has a new book out and it's not in KU. So, yeah.
Or they just know that they have to wait a month and then they get it in KU.
Yeah.
So
maybe.
I got around it because I was like, you can read for free on my website, because for me, it was more valuable for them to join my newsletter. So she already answered that, our great news start. But if you want to answer that again, how much you're grossing now? per month?
Oh, now it's about 10,000 a month.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think
Now,
the
are you running a lot
KU
of ads?
yeah, I was running like maybe 2 to 3,000 in ads, so yeah.
Aha.
Yeah.
So when I talk about my numbers, it's not with ads. My ads were only ever 10% of my total income. So in a month that I made $8,000, I was only spending 800 on ads, and that was actually all of my advertising budget. So my website budget had to come from that. Anything that was advertising had to come from that. So I stick with only a 10% things.
Yeah, I think if I get 4 or 5
Word
X, then I'm
counts.
doing good.
So
word counts?
yeah.
As long as you need to take the story. Because I think at the beginning, because I come from a romance, contemporary romance. So we're trying to do 60 to 80, maybe 40. I mean, we didn't do as long books, but I realized that at the first books that I wrote, if they weren't that long, people were left a little disappointed. Like, how come, we didn't get this or that? And so then I realized that JAFF readers, they want more of the atmosphere. They want the other side characters. They want the subplots. It's not just, boom,
Yes.
boom, boom, boom. Lizzie and Darcy go through this roller coaster. They have the sisters, the friends, just in general, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Like the one I have where Lizzie matchmake Anne DeBoer to her cousin, the playwright. I think people liked Anne more in that book because she finally got her story. So you couldn't short shrift and just stick with a couple.
No, but
yeah,
you
it's
can't
not instant love. It's not one of those instant love novellas where no.
But you also can't cut Darcy and Elizabeth out and just do Anne's story because no one wants that.
No, you can't. But it has to all be in between because where Darcy was trying to protect his cousin and the whole.
Lots of fun stuff.
Yeah.
So, and also I want to tell our gentlemen watching tonight, our men, there's lots of men who write JAFF. There are male authors who write Jane Austen fan fiction. There's a lot of stuff with the militia and just like gentlemen. A lot of times they write more scenes with Darcy and they like to write the male characters more often, but they sell just as well. This is not a situation where, it's romance, I have to have a female pen name. Not at all. Not at all. So on that note, I think we're going to head over to the after party where Rochelle will be able to answer more questions to the membership. I will be going over a lot more in depth with the intensive. So whether you're a member or you're not a member, you can take the intensive. It is $750. And we start on April 13th. And like I said, I will be working very closely with everyone who is in that, making sure that they have access to me to ask questions about their story ideas. I'll give you my honest opinion. You don't have to listen to it, but it's better if you do because it does make a difference in terms of what sells and what doesn't sell, because the genre can be very persnickety. So Zamosa, somebody wants to join but doesn't write JAFF. So you could join the JAFF Intensive to learn how we're targeting this genre if you wanted to, but we're focusing on Jane Austen fan fiction specifically. It will be also about how to use Notion to write the book and keep our notes and everything like that, and then also derivative fiction in general. So you could take the things that I'm teaching about JAFF and then go read in Sherlock, for example. So some different books in Sherlock and stuff. So I will be showing some things from like the wider derivative fiction. I'm just being honest about the fact that I have not written Sherlock fan fiction. I have not written that derivative fiction. I have not written derivative fiction in other fandoms that are public domain. I've written other fan fiction in my life because that's where I cut my teeth. But I don't have the sales figures and things like that for the Sherlocks and stuff like that. But I will be sharing the sales figures of a experiment. I don't want to talk about it too much because I don't want you guys going and trying to find it. I don't want to skew the results or anything like that. So you'll have that. So I know I'm the worst salesperson in the world. Like, don't take my intensive if you don't want to learn JAFF. Like, there's no reason to. But I want to say, PD James, okay? She's no longer with us, unfortunately, but she did all of the alphabet murders, right? Isn't she the one who does the alphabet murders? Am I confused? Or is that a Susan? I think that's a Susan.
You mean the A is for alibi and all that? Kinsey Milholm?
Yeah, no, she did Death and Holy Orders, The Black Tower, A Taste of Death. No, that's a different person who does the alphabet ones. But P.D. James was a very famous and successful mystery. Yeah, I'm confusing her with Sue Grafton. My apologies, Sue. My apologies, P.D. But P.D. James, very successful mystery thriller writer in her own right. And towards the end of her career, she decided to write Death Comes to Pemberley. And that book brought a whole new audience to her mystery stuff. So if you're already writing in a genre that maybe you're not getting readers to be interested in, or it's just not a very popular genre, you could probably find a way to link it to JAFF, write a JAFF, and then help draw in a new audience to know of your pen name. So that is available. All right, we're going to be in the after party. Excuse me. You can see A Witch Comes to Pemberley. Yes, P.D. James revolutionized the mystery genre. She was one of the first ones to bring forensics into mystery stories. Absolutely. So my point is, even P.D. James, though, wrote Jane Austen fan fiction. I just have to say. I'm dying here. But I want to say a big thank you to April being on, and Rochelle, and big ups for Lynn getting me these new bone headphone thingies for my birthday. So I don't have the white things that hurt my ears. I feel nothing. This is great. I hope you guys will look into more with derivative fiction and things like that for your genres. And the after party is in the lab room. So if you are a member at the $249 level, or, grandfathered in, the after party is in the lab room. You just sign into Teachable. You go to Future Fiction Academy, Future Fiction Lab, and your Zoom links are up at the top there. So I will see you guys all in the after party. I will be right there. Let me give you guys a song. I don't think do we want the She Shanty again, or?
Yeah, let's do it.
All right, She Shanty again. Here we go.
Pull the line and turn the page. Send it out from age to age. If it breathes, then let it run. Old and new can beat as one. This genre is a gold mine for writers. Haul it up and pass it round. What was love is still worth loving? Hear that buried treasure sound. There's a hush in the stacks at midnight. There's a map in the margin there. There's a tune in the oldest pages, still alive in the paper air. We don't come for dust alone. We don't come to bow and freeze. We come in with living voices. We come in and wake the leaves. Pull the line and turn the page. Send it out from age to age. If it breathes, then let it run. Old and new can beat as one. This genre is a gold mine for writers. Haul it up and pass it round. What was love is still worth loving? Hear that buried treasure sound. All the classics left us lanterns. All the authors left us bread. All the canon left a doorway we can open with what they said. Take the longing, take the tension, take the wit and take the ache. Take the post that kept them living, make it ours and claim a stake. Pull the line and turn the page. Send it out from age to age. If it breathes, then let it run. Old and new can meet as one. This genre is a gold mine for writers. Haul it up and pass it round. Was love is still worth loving? Hear that buried treasure sound. up for you. This genre is a gold mine for writers. Hold it up and pass it around. What was loved is still worth loving. Hear that buried treasure sound. Pass it on from the shelf into the song. Pass it on, make the old house hum along.
All right, everyone. Thank you so much for coming. Again, it's not about JAFF is just the thing to go do. It is an example of niche genre fiction that is a derivative of a public domain work. This is also very popular with Alice in Wonderland and Sherlock Holmes, and there's new things coming to the public domain every single year. So I hope you will take a look at the public domain, see if there's anything that relates to your genre. It's a great way to practice your own writing chops and get to do something that's a little bit different, almost like a writing exercise. Feed a genre of readers who are always hungry for more, and more importantly, tap into a new audience that is just waiting to find out about your books. All right, I'll see everyone in the after party, and if you sign up for the intensive, the JAFF intensive, I will be your instructor. We kick off April 13th. I will make sure that there's live sessions that work for your schedule too, and I will help guide you specifically in Jane Austen fan fiction if that is a genre that you are interested in writing. All right, see everyone later. See you next Friday. Bye.